Many or most of you are aware that last night was the monthly town board meeting in Ticonderoga, last night at 6 p.m. in the Ticonderoga Community Building. The footage that we have, I did not get loaded into the software here due to the time constraints with planning and getting things ready to go here on the air tonight with the 9 to 5 schedule and all of that going on. But in any case, here is the rundown of what took place. A packed house in the basement of the community building. A packed house in terms of, to just tell you that the room was filled more so than a normal board meeting. Most town board meetings here in our region are sparsely attended. Just as a comparison or note of comparison, the meeting that I went to in Moriah last month was not as well attended, and minimal numbers by comparison, just to give a side note to draw the numbers there. Emotions were very high, tangible in the room as residents sought answers from local leadership. The public brought loads of information to Mr. O'Brien, the Ticonderoga Town Supervisor, Jim O'Brien, and the rest of the Ticonderoga Town Council that was on hand, as well as the town clerk and town attorney that were all present representing town leadership. But many residents voiced what they have discovered in terms of their own research and findings through FOIL requests, and not just FOIL requests, but research through various, whether that's sources online or things like that. Joe Mahalik, resident Joe Mahalik, mentioned the pilot agreements, figures on the pilot agreement in the beginning of the meeting, and others spoke as well, just to give some idea of what information was presented. And of note, Jim O'Brien did say that he welcomed the research that people were doing as input into the process for the public committee. Now, that is interesting and noteworthy because one of the conclusions of public discussion or public information was that the public committee is slated for its first meeting on July 15th at 6 p.m. And for clarification, this is that special BESS research committee that has been assembled by Ticonderoga leadership to research all aspects of BESS. If you recall, the town of Ticonderoga has assembled this committee to study every aspect from the medical to the scientific to the government and political, all of those various aspects under this committee to research and present this information to the public at these various public meetings, and culminating at the end of this 6-month period, as best as myself and my small team can understand it, to present this information to the public at a final public hearing to be held at the Ticonderoga High School. That is because, I say as best as I understand it, because there was a lot of I don't knows, and I can't answer that from town leadership, as I mentioned, as well as the illusion, that's spelled with an A, illusion, to a potential lawsuit or litigation that the town of Ticonderoga would have to enter into down the road with New York State, whether that is NYSERDA, whether that is the Office of Renewable Energy Siting. That was unclear. And as citizens, residents asked for clarification, that clarification was shot down and dismissed. That is unclear, and that is why I indicate that that information I just presented on that committee is the best I can tell you. So, in any case, the future of this project or where this is headed is to this public forum on July 15th at 6 p.m. There was, however, no location given on the agenda notes for where that meeting will be held. The traditional location is the community building. I would suggest or float the possibility that the school would be considered given the amount of public interest. However, that at this time was not made clear. In any case, there will be obviously a lot more to come as the days roll on and more information becomes available as we move forward, as it unfolds by the day, it seems. The full footage of the meeting right now is available again via our Ticonderoga team member, Lori Messing. However, I will work tomorrow to get that footage here as I do have it. It's just a matter of I have not had time again today with time constraints, and I appreciate your patience between a 9 to 5 employment and working here. It is difficult, but again, I do appreciate uh, your understanding with a small operation as we are here.